Welcome, nerds and nerdettes.
Which one am I?
I don't know.
There's a nerdette.
Okay.
I'm down for it.
Welcome to the Cinema Asylum Review Ward. Yeah. This is a TV review. I'm Matthew, one of the superhero and sci-fi experts.
I'm Dylan, the other superhero and sci-fi expert.
You'll never guess what we're reviewing today. A sci-fi show.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, this is the three-body problem.
Yeah, I'm surprised to be sure. Man, the intro, I absolutely dug. I love
slaps.
the intro music. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. If you can't imagine, like, this is going to be major spoilers.
Yes.
Because you can't really say anything about the show without being a spoiler.
Yeah, no, not at all. There was no fat to trim about this one.
That's why I didn't, like, even look up the book plot before I watched it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what'd you think?
So obviously spoilers, but I liked it. I was surprised. I hadn't heard of the book before you brought this show up. But especially not before we watched the trailer. I went into it not knowing exactly what to expect, which is good. And I really let it surprise me. I will say, I fucking called one thing halfway through the fucking show, and I texted you about it. And I was right.
About it being a simulation?
No. I wasn't saying that it was a simulation.
Okay.
Now, yeah, So what I texted Matthew about halfway in because I did 2 batches of episodes. I did 4 on the day that dropped and 4 on Friday.
Yeah.
So, but before it was revealed in like the 5th or 6th episode that there was an alien creation orbiting the Earth, basically. I had texted Matthew after the sky blinked, and I was like, okay, I swear, if it turns out that they're basically caught in a planetary bubble and the aliens, and this is all like an alien experiment, I was half right.
Half right, yes.
Yeah, so they were caught in an interplanetary bubble, so I at least got that right.
Yeah.
I'm still not completely sold about it not being an experiment. I think that there's something else going on other than just conquering.
And 5 and 6, are you referring to the gate thing? When the gate opened up or whatever?
Or
where I made the computer, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking more about the I forget the...
Sophon?
Yeah, Siphon. That's what I'm talking about. The fact that they had that orbiting the Earth the entire time, that's the reason why the sky was blinking.
Yeah.
That was the thing that tipped me off that there's something up. Especially when Saul was like, oh yeah, no, even the ISS couldn't pick anything up. Like, it looked completely normal. Like, so we all just imagined it, basically. Meanwhile, on the news broadcast, you could see it turning on and off the way that it had. Honestly, the visuals in this were amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about that for a fucking second. It was awesome.
Incredible.
Go ahead.
The acting was super solid, too.
Yeah, no, for sure. This was my first experience with a good amount of these actors. I think the only ones I'd really known about before this were Benedict Wong and Liam Cunningham.
Isa Gonzalez.
What?
She was in Baby Driver.
Shit, that's... Really?
She was in Hobbs and Shaw.
I totally fucking forgot about that.
Yeah.
She was... To be fair, when I think Woman in Hobbs and Shaw, I think Vanessa Kirby.
Okay, fair enough.
So, like, I don't really think about it.
Yeah, she was in Baby Driver. She was Darling.
Yeah, I remember that now, yeah. No, God, I fucking totally forgot about that.
Apparently.
There was actually one other guy, Jonathan Pryce.
Yeah.
I'd seen him in a bunch of things, too.
Apparently she wants to play Catwoman.
Really? Quit that with your eyebrows. I'm gonna shame you on camera. For shame. For shame. I want to see the comment saying for shame. Please. In reference to this time code specifically. For shame. I'm going to get you
just
with
timestamp it for shame.
Yeah. I'm going to get you with a bonk. Yeah, the acting was really good. I liked it a lot. Surprise, surprise! My favorite character was Benedict Wong's.
Yeah.
But he was just he was kind of like the comedic relief throughout. He doesn't play a drastically different style of character, I would say, than a lot of the other roles that we've seen him in. With Wong being one of the big ones.
His voice is unique too. Even when he's doing a British accent, he still sounds like Wong.
Well, no, that's his I'm pretty sure that's his regular accent.
Oh, he's British?
I think.
But okay. So he just sounds like that all the time though. Like there's no variation in his voice at all.
Yeah, no, it's like telltale, yeah.
You hear that voice, it's Wong.
If you ever hear that man go into voice work, you're going to be able to tell no matter what.
Yep.
It ain't a Matt Mercer situation.
I feel like we should also put a disclaimer, if you haven't watched this yet, there is a lot of suicide.
Yes.
So if that triggers you, do not watch this.
Yeah, there's a lot of suicide. There's a lot of death. There's child trauma.
Yeah.
Which, thankfully, that was way more reduced than it was looking like for a minute there.
I was hoping.
Shut up! Man, I legit thought that I was going to have to stop watching and ask you to let me know when it was over. Because I wasn't...
That massacre scene, though.
I know, leading up to that, like the child that was like latched onto the chain link fence.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I was like, oh, no, please. I was looking for like anything to show that something happened.
Can we talk about that scene, though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, I feel like this is probably one of the most brutal scenes in sci-fi.
Yeah, agreed.
It is a straight-up massacre scene. What they're doing is they've invented these things called nanofibers. They're as thin as a strand of hair, but they're sharp as razor wire.
Well, they're like 300 times as thin as a string of hair.
Oh, I thought they said it was as thin as a strand of hair.
No,
but it's 300 times stronger.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay,
yeah.
I get you.
But yeah, they sent this through a boat of like, I think they said 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And it just starts like ripping people to shreds.
Yeah, they basically built this... I would say like net, but it was basically a potato peeler.
Yeah.
Like the nanofibers are so sharp that it takes no effort to go through. So
even a helicopter.
Yeah, even a fucking helicopter. When they set up the trap, the one of the main characters' boyfriends, Jin, is that who her boyfriend was?
I believe.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. I believe Jin is the female.
Yeah, it's the younger student, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Jin's boyfriend got recruited by this intelligence agency who are alerted about the alien threat and about everything that Price's character is doing. And they are having trouble tracking him down, and they need as much intel as they can get on this alien species. And it's on the ship because he's been living on the ship for 30 years or something like that.
Yeah, since like 84, I believe.
Yeah, he's been living on there and building this culture and amassing these followers for this basically religion.
That's what it is. Yeah,
they're going through the Panama Canal, and so they bring up this net with the nanofibers. And as it's passing through the net, Jin's boyfriend turns to Augie, Isa Gonzalez's character, and is like, "What? It's not working. What'd you do?" Because they thought that she would sabotage it because she was so against taking lives like that. And she's like, "No, it's working." And so it cuts to the ship, and there's this guy like mopping the deck. And all of a sudden, he loses water pressure, and then just cleaved in half. No effort, just immediately gone. It was...
It's brutal.
God.
This is not for the faint of heart. There is intestines and everything in the scene.
Yeah, no, like you see bone, you see spine, everything. It honestly, I just liked... I liked how they were showing the destruction, too, like all throughout the ship. Because most of the scene is Price's character leaving.
Yeah.
And because he realizes that people are dying, he sees like a clock get chopped in half at one point.
Yeah.
But there's no visible sign of what did it. But he saw this guy that was helping him get cleaved in half. So he like takes off, but you see like doors get cleaved in half. You see these people just die in the middle of the hallway, and oh my god, it's fucking brutal.
I believe there's about 50 on-screen deaths in that scene.
I don't doubt it. That makes perfect sense.
And then at the end, he dies.
Yeah, thankfully.
He says something like, "I'm ready, Lord," or something like that, because they
Yeah.
worship the aliens as God. Or
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
yeah.
aliens. Yeah. So it's like this whole religion where they call the alien Lord.
It's interesting because I just it's kind of one of those things where I don't want to really talk about religion much.
Right, yeah.
But just as like a quick little thing, it's interesting because a lot of religion is purely faith based.
Right.
Where we have the gospel and we're going strictly based off the gospel, which has like centuries
Right.
of history. And so you put your faith in the creator, basically,
Yes.
but you have no direct contact. You
Right.
don't hear anything from them. You don't have any actual proof that they exist.
Yeah.
This, however, it's straight up, this is a fucking alien.
They're talking to them.
Like, they are actually talking to them. There's full-on communication. There's a lot of proof that it exists. So it was really interesting for me in that aspect, as somebody who's not super into religion.
Right.
I like the fact that they know exactly what their creator is. They just don't know what the creator looks like.
Yeah.
That's really it.
I think we should specify, since we did this, obviously with superheroes and sci-fi, religion is a big topic.
Yes.
So certain ones we will get a little bit into religion.
Yeah, well, especially with how based on it this was.
Yes.
It literally was. They were just talking to this one voice through the comm, and then it was a different being in the VR set, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was pretty sure that there was a distinction between those two beings.
I had a thought, and I don't know if I should bring this up or not. Since the aliens are coming to conquer Earth, would it technically be a UFO death cult?
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It
was a curious thought. I just had to bring it up. Like, I didn't know what you think about that.
I feel like the talk about like the distinction between the two, because I think that there is a difference between following a religion and following a cult. Is something that we should definitely talk about off the podcast.
Definitely. I just was curious to see what your thought was.
No, I see the comparison, and honestly, I can make arguments for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense.
Yeah. And that's what we'll get on that subject.
We're off of it.
Yeah, we're done with that. Just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah.
If you guys want to chime in the comments, go for it.
Yeah, no, if you want to fight that wasteland, by all means, battle it out. I'm not saying anything.
We'll take the comments and we'll look at them.
Yeah, no, we'll analyze them in our own time. It's just we're not really going to participate in that.
Discussion is discussion.
Yes, as long as it's civil. Yeah. I really liked it. It got me really caring about a lot of the characters. I felt, I don't know. I feel like Jen was the one that we got the most time with.
Yes.
But she was the one that I cared the least about.
Yeah.
And I hated that. I feel like they just didn't do enough with her. I think the most that they really put into her was regarding her relationship.
Yes.
That's where a lot of it was, and it was mostly through what's his name? Will Downing's character. The character.
That was rough.
Yeah. Dude,
that actually did bother me a bit.
It bothered me a little bit too. Honestly, his character was like a punching bag the entire season, up until, spoiler alert, he died.
Yeah, if you want to get into that, you can. I'll just listen.
Well, I mean, I'm not really going to talk about his fight. That's not something I've gone through. That's not something I
meant like the last scene.
Oh yeah, that was a heavy scene.
Maybe we should talk about just a little bit of warning.
Yeah,
so about that one a little bit.
Spoiler alert for I would say assisted suicide.
Yes.
That's basically what it was at that point.
Was,
he was dying from cancer, and he was going to just let it take him. But when Liam Cunningham's character, I hate referring to him just by the actor name, Wade, that's what his name was. When Wade was putting together the program to stop these aliens, which these aliens are 400 years away. When they were putting together, they were talking about having a cryo chamber and launching it out to meet them halfway in 200 years. And they figured that the alien would pick up whoever was in the cryo chamber. Wade was going to do it. He was like, oh yeah, no, I'm just going to wake up for 1 week every year, or every like 10 years or something like that.
Every year to like watch a sports event and
yeah, he would do he would like he would still be leading everything. It's just he'd only be awake for a year, and that's when he would be doing everything. Yeah. And then he would go back in cryo, and that would be it. But there was an issue with the weight. They had to reduce how much weight there was in order to optimize the speed, because they needed to go at faster than 0.01% light speed, right?
Yeah, 0.1%. 1%, sorry.
Yeah.
1%, yeah.
They need to reduce the amount of weight, so obviously he couldn't do that. So he was like, okay, so we basically just need a brain. But who the fuck is going to sacrifice themselves for this? And so that's when Jim was like, well, I know somebody who's dying. I don't want him to fucking do it, and I don't want you to fucking offer it to him. It gets offered to him. And Will Downing is in love with Jen. It's most of his story in the show, aside from his battle with cancer. And he's like, listen, I won't do it if you tell me not to. He's like, Jen, just give me the word. I won't sign anything. I won't do any of this. And she doesn't say anything. She lets him do it. So his send-off is he basically does these locks. There's 5 injections. And there's 5 injections, and there's 5 confirmations. The injections will all pump into him as soon as the 5th one is unlocked. So him and I would say his best friend, Saul, which I love Saul's character, and we'll get to him a little bit. When it's time for him to make that decision, him and Saul are having this heart-to-heart where Saul's like, well, you have to think about X, Y, and Z. You have to think about every single possible outcome. And Will's like, I'm dying anyway. He's like, this is it. He's like, I don't care what might happen to me. He's like, I don't care if I end up being their pet. I don't care if I end up being an experiment. He's like, one way or another, this is the end of my life. He's like, now if they accept me, they accept me. He's like, but that's it. And it's this long, drawn-out scene. It goes for like 10 minutes. It's huge. It's one of the best scenes I've ever seen in TV. It's drawn out, and he ends up doing it and going through with it. And it cuts to Jin arriving at his hospital room just after it happened. And they're already remaking the bed. Which ended up being a waste, kind of, because the way that they were launching his brain into space was they were using a... if you've seen Star Wars or the Clone Wars and you've seen Dooku's ship, the little like solar sail...
Yeah, it's a solar sail.
It's literally like the same fucking thing.
It's basically a parachute on the front of your ship.
Yeah. And what they were planning on doing was they were planning on detonating 300 nukes in space, basically, to catapult it up to 0.1% light speed.
They would put the nukes behind, like right behind the sail. Like they would pass through the sail and then launch the nuke, and it would pick up the solar wind from the nuke to propel it forward.
Yeah. And the first 3 or 4 worked, and then after that 4th one of the tethers broke, and it just veered off course. The way that, the way that Jen explained it, she was like, it's like threading a needle 300 times, but way more expensive. And one of the final scenes of it is actually Wade in his plane, and this entire show, the aliens have been observing over everything. Like they're in control of technology. They're observing everything. Like we mentioned earlier. There's these things called siphons that are these really tiny computers, like small as a proton, I think they said.
Yeah.
But they can expand to be bigger than the size of the planet, so it was like fully around the Earth. well, they were observing all this, and Wade had even been like, listen, if they want to know what the fuck we're doing, then they want to know what the fuck we're doing. There's nothing that we can really do to stop that unless we stop talking. And after it fails, he's on his plane flying back, and the aliens, the Lord, contacts him and is like, hey, so we would have really liked to meet him. That really fucking sucks. I hope you're fucking prepared. And it's one of the there aren't many scares in this, like, at all. Like, no. There's just like a couple of like jumps.
This trailer made it look a lot scarier than it was.
Yeah. But one of the more horror-like shots that we get is during that scene, because they're like, we can't wait to meet you. And he like the lights black out, and when they open back up, he turns to the side and he sees like a version of himself with his eyes like gouged out of his head, and he's bleeding from the sockets, and just like, oh! It's, oh my god,
yeah.
I loved it personally.
Yeah. You're gonna enjoy Constellation then, because that's a lot more horror-ish.
Okay, yeah, I really check. What's that streaming on again?
Apple.
Okay.
So you got 8 episodes to watch by next weekend.
Okay, I'll have time.
Yeah.
I really like the story that they were telling across the students, like with their own personal arcs, on top of just the overarching narrative. One face I was really happy to see was where is he? John Bradley, who played Rooney, Jack Snacks.
Yes.
He was in Game of Thrones, and he was one of my favorite fucking characters.
He's in Moonfall too.
Really?
When we watch Moonfall, yeah.
Okay.
He's in Moonfall.
That's the one that you really don't want to watch, ain't it?
I want to watch it just to get yours and Paul's reaction and Dylan and Garrett's reaction.
Okay.
Because we're gonna stick the microphones in front of everybody while we're watching it, just to get the reactions. It is a crap show. It makes Sharknado look like an Oscar winner.
Jesus Christ! Really?
Yeah, and it's a big budget movie too. It's like a $40-50 million budget movie.
Fuck, dude.
You're definitely gonna want some lettuce for that.
Maybe. We'll see. No, I liked Rooney's character a lot. He was a dick at times.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was kind of one of the things that they liked about him, was the fact that he spoke his mind.
And he was also a super nerd.
Yeah. Seeing his room, I was like, oh. I was like, I would kill to have a room like this. This is amazing.
Let's see, there was Cap, Shield, a TIE fighter.
There's a proton pack.
Yeah.
I
believe the Doctor Who.
The TARDIS.
Yeah, I think that was there.
I think so. There was one of the Gremlins. From Gremlins.
I believe the DeLorean was in there.
Yeah. He had a vintage lunchbox.
Transformers.
Yeah, it was Transformers.
Yeah. Like, this is a nerd.
Yeah, no, there is so much shit to see in there, and even outside of his room. One thing that I noticed was, like, in the living room, when he's like, "Oh, do you want some more of this chips?" And so I was like, "Well, these chips taste like ass. Do you have any other flavors?" and Rooney's like, "Oh yeah, no, I got fully stocked of them." One of the things that you see in the background is one of the most ridiculous computer setups I've ever seen in my life. And basically what it is it's a reclining gamer chair, like the Razer seats. It's like fully reclining. It like props your feet up. You have like 3 screens across the top. There's some where it's like a full enveloped thing that lowers on top of you. This wasn't one of those. But you could also see that there was like a VR headset next to it.
Yeah.
It was like, this man is a fucking gamer.
Yes, he is.
Which, like, if I had, what do you say, like $20 million or something like that? Or,
20 million, yeah.
Yeah, that was how much Will got, at least.
Yeah. That was what was left for his, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I think that they said that it was half his estate, though.
Yeah, half his estate, yeah.
Yeah.
All that nerd stuff costs a lot of money.
Yeah, no, for sure. That gaming setup, It costs a shit ton. Which, if I had the money,
that'd probably be like 20, 30,000 right there.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I think I'd build a poor man's one if I had that kind of money. I just like permanently lean back eraser's seat and like duct tape screens it across the ceiling.
And Moonfall, he plays a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. I like when one of the things I like about his character in Game of Thrones, I'm not really going to go off about Game of Thrones, is how wholesome he is. So to see him play these other characters
Wholesome?
that are
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, no, it's a full thing. No, legit. He is one of the only wholesome characters in the entire show.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know.
Throwing me in Game of Thrones.
It's one of the reasons why I like the fuck, I forget what they're called. Grey Worm, Jacob Anderson's character. His people, his army.
Oh, okay.
They're also kind of wholesome in a way. You'd have to watch the show to get it. No, I don't blame you. I'm just saying, like, it's a little hard to explain.
Throw John in Game of Thrones.
You know what? That sounds like a challenge. I might be able to.
No, not convince him to watch it. I mean, like, have him actually be part of the show. Just to see how him being super wholesome reacting to all this.
Oh my gosh!
We need just a video reaction series of John watching Game of Thrones.
Oh, dude. That sounds like Patreon content right there. An episode a week? Now, I'm down for that. I wanted to rewatch it anyway. I think it'd be great.
But yeah, this is a really well done show.
Mm.
If you are not into sci-fi, not Star Wars sci-fi, like hard sci-fi.
Star Wars is science fantasy. Yeah.
This is hard science.
Yes.
Quantum mechanics, all that stuff. If you're not an actual science nerd, you might not like this.
Yeah. Did you predict that Dr. Ye or Yi or however her name was pronounced? Her turn.
I kind of figured right from the beginning that she was going to go bad.
Well, like, I figured when they showed...
Especially when she met with the other girl and they were talking about repenting. And the other girl's like, nah. It's like she's about to go berserk and do something stupid.
I just... It was... Once they showed, like, the really big radar dish, I was like, she's the motherfucker who brings the aliens here. I fucking know it. And then it happens, and they're like, oh, they tried to do the same fucking reveal later, too. Like an episode or two or, like, later.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, yeah, no, she's the one that's leading, like, the entire cult, actually. And it's like, okay, yeah, it makes fucking sense. She told the aliens that they couldn't save themselves, or that the human race couldn't save themselves. Like, yeah, she's going to be on that fucking train. Like, who was surprised?
There's 2 other shows that have started already. I think we should do reviews for, not to get too far off track. It's still sci-fi, but you'll have to get caught up on 2. I'd have to get caught up on 1 because it's already seasons in.
Okay.
For All Mankind.
Okay, I've seen stuff about that.
They'll be going into season 5, I believe, early next year, and then Foundation will be going into season 3.
I still haven't checked out Foundation.
Yeah, so except for We Pace. That was still one of your best lines.
It is. I'm so upset we didn't capture that on camera. That was such a great joke.
But yeah, we should definitely do more sci-fi shows.
Okay, I'm super down for it, especially if they're all about like this kind of quality, because I really was blown away.
Yeah,
like I didn't know what to expect about it, so I'm really glad that I went in blind about it. I will say one of my favorite, my other favorite characters for reasons that you would probably guess. Okay, listen, the weed thing, that sells me on almost any character, so that's not even the reason why I like them. But like the last episode is basically all about him and Jin.
Yeah.
And he becomes a what was it? A wall hugger? Is that what they called him?
Wall facer.
Wall facer, yes. I wanted to say wall facer, but I was like, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, so he becomes a wall facer. And him and 2 other really huge people known for uh, uh, achieving peace against like warring clans and like major strategicians. He's with the two of them, and he's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. He's like, I haven't done anything in my life, and that was one of the things that he was bringing up throughout the show, super early on too. I think they mentioned it in the first episode, where he was like, yeah, if you don't achieve anything by the time that you're 30 and you're working in the field of science, you're never going to achieve anything. He's like, I'm 31.
Yeah.
And Dr. Ye's daughter, who was his director, was like, oh yeah, no, just keep going. I'm sure you'll find something. And then she committed suicide by falling down a reactor, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I believe at the particle accelerator.
Yeah, because he was talking about how the numbers didn't make sense.
Yeah, the Switzerland or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love Saul. I think the entire reason why he was picked, and like I'm just going to refer to her as Miss Fredrickson, Mrs. Fredrickson, because I know her from Warehouse 13, but she was the lead speaker at the UN.
It's not CHH Pounder.
I think that sounds right. Yeah, it is.
She played Amanda Waller in the Justice League cartoon.
Yeah, I know. I know her from Warehouse 13, or her face.
Yeah, I know her from Justice League.
If you haven't checked out Warehouse 13, check it out.
I have not watched it yet. It's on my list.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fucking good. You might be a little disappointed towards the ending, but God, I fucking love it. I need to rewatch it. It's one of my favorite shows ever. But Miss Fredrickson is like, so I was like, listen, I don't want this. He's like, I'm a nobody. He's like, I don't know what the fuck you want from me. And she's like, well, if you want to drop it, you could drop it. That's fine. But, you know, doesn't mean that people aren't going to listen to you, because I told them they have to. And he's like, all right, well, I'm done. I quit. He's like, have fun. See ya. She's like, yeah, no, see ya. And when he leaves, he's wearing this bulletproof like pantsuit, basically. These fatigues.
He looks like he's in a new metal band in the 90s.
Yeah. And Benedict Wong is he's a detective the entire show. He works for Wade, but he gets assigned to be his permanent bodyguard for the rest of his life as soon as he becomes a wall facer. And he's trying to leave, and Benedict is like, "Listen, at least let me walk you out. Let me get you a car. Blah 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 blah." And so I was like, "No, you have to listen to what I say, right? Then fucking stay here. Bye." And he just pieces out and then gets shot as soon as he steps outside.
And it was a sniper rifle, so it actually did some damage.
Yeah. He ended up being hospitalized for it. And now he still didn't accept the role, which he's going to. There's no fucking way he doesn't. But he ended up being like, well, why the fuck was I selected? And Miss Fredrickson was like, I don't know. I think the reason why he was selected is because he didn't want it.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
Like, it's just, he's one of the people that...
A reluctant hero.
I would say reluctant hero. Like, the aliens were trying to kill him, and that's definitely one of the reasons why he was selected.
Yeah.
But I think it's the fact that he was the most underqualified, I would say, out of the other two, or out of all three that were chosen. So he's definitely the wild card, I would say.
I feel like something's going to be revealed in season 2.
Yeah.
Why he was really chosen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's... Like I said, his entire thing is, I'm a nobody.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not going to achieve anything. So it's leading up to, I think that he's going to be one of the key people to fully figure everything out. We didn't specify what a wall facer is.
Right.
Basically, a wall facer is somebody who has limited contact to anything and everything. They have like full authority as long as they don't commit any international entering international crimes or breaking any international laws. They fully plan everything out in their head, so they don't log anything into the computer. They don't say a single word about their plans to anybody else
until I'm assuming they need them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So only 3 people were chosen, like we said earlier, and Saul was one of them. And this was after his best friend died and his brain was taken out and launched into space.
And these other ones are like
right before. But
I think one of the other ones was like a Nobel Peace Prize winner or something.
Yes, yeah.
And one was like a freedom fighter who saved a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So like these are like.
Yeah, he was like, these people are actual fucking heroes. He's like, I'm fucking nobody. He's like, I'm a low level scientist. Like I don't know what the fuck to tell you. And it's just really interesting because he's presented as a cynic throughout the entire show.
He's a physicist, right?
Yeah, he's a physicist.
Yeah.
He's just a cynic. Like, it's not like he's being cynical, like, oh god, because they never fucking tell him about that.
Right.
Like, they're just like, oh yeah, no, there's fucking aliens.
Yeah.
They don't tell him like the context of the way that they're being talked about, any of it.
Right.
Honestly, him and Will were like the 2 people kept in the dark the most.
Yeah. Like
Rooney was talked to about it. Augie figured it out. Jin was talked to. I like everybody, but the 2 of them were like in the loop. Meanwhile, the 2 of them were just out on the beach in the UK smoking weed, waiting for Will to die. Like, it was interesting. He was so far removed from the situation. I dug it.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's the character I'm looking forward to seeing more of in the future.
Yeah.
I'm looking the most forward to seeing him again.
Right.
Is how I guess I should put it. Acting was definitely great. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Especially during that Saul and Will scene.
Yes.
Honestly, the guy who played Will
was probably the best actor.
Yeah, I would say so, because he had a lot of really like I said, he was the punching bag the entire show. Like he had his entire thing was, oh man, I'm dying from cancer. Oh man, I'm a coward. I can't talk to Jen and tell her how I feel. And there's a point where Saul's like, listen, dude, you're dying. If there was ever a chance for you to shoot your shot, you fucking do it now. Yeah. Especially with the fact that her boyfriend's currently lying to her.
Right.
Like, go fucking see her. So he makes the trip all the way from where he was to where Sheila is with her boyfriend. And there's a shot where he's standing across the street, and it's after Jen or her boyfriend argued, and they're like, I'm sorry, like, I shouldn't have kept it from you. I was supposed to. I was supposed to, and all this other stuff. I'm glad that we're on the same project now, blah, 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 blah. Like, they make up. And it cuts to Will across the street, and he just, like, he sees everything, and he just pivots and turns around and walks away.
Yeah.
And I really like the scenes where he's out on the paper boats that Jin set to see. Those scenes were really cool, in my opinion. We talked about how amazing the massacre looked, but those scenes were fucking beautiful on their own.
Yeah, those were more like philosophical, like beauty.
It was. I don't know. They didn't do a whole lot of like odd imagery.
No.
Is how I would say. So, like, a lot of it was, like, on location. It was a lot of realistic shots.
Yeah.
So they didn't do a whole lot of fantastical stuff. Like, it was literally just, like, the stars getting brighter and dimming and brighter and dimming.
Yeah.
Like blinking on and off, basically. That it was the eye in the sky after the alien race revealed themselves and said, you are bugs, to the entire population of the planet. It was the outer space shots, and that was really it. Like, there was basically nothing else aside from what was inside the VR headset.
If you want to get brave, there are 2 versions of the show out.
Really?
The original, there's one in Chinese, because the book is Chinese, and it's basically a 1-for-1 of the entire book. But that's 30 episodes. Because they removed a lot of the science from this show. Like, there's a lot of science. But they removed, like, a lot of the laboratory stuff and stuff.
Okay.
Like, it's way more drawn out.
Are they all, like, hour-long episodes?
Yeah, it's like 30 hours. I don't know if I'll even watch it. Like,
maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day.
I'll wait for all the seasons of this to come out, and then I'll go watch that one.
You have any other thoughts, or is that about it?
I'll just say I'm really looking forward to what they do. I'm expecting like if assuming Netflix doesn't fucking cancel it, because that was my main worry leaving the show was finishing the season was Netflix likes to make one season of a show and just fucking cancel it. And I could see this flying under a lot of people's radars. Like, it would have flown under mine. I can see this flying under a lot of people's radars. And then they're like, oh, yeah, there's no interest in it because they don't get enough views on Netflix. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that talk about it, I think, if they pick it up sooner. And it's a case of, I think that Netflix really needs to look at how people are talking about it online.
Yes.
Because that's where a lot of the support is. And considering the fact that they're apparently viewing, like, one view is 2, actually, it's kind of unbelievable that they're like, oh, yeah, we're not getting enough views. Like, bullshit.
It's funny that you jumped into that, because that's why I was trying to wrap it up, so I could talk about that.
Oh, no, go ahead, then. I don't want to steal your thunder.
It's okay. So, if they do renew it, it will be stupid if they do more than 3 seasons. Because there are only 3 books.
Okay.
So, I think Netflix, if they do it, they'll do a max of 3 seasons anyway. But
I can see 4.
That's what I'm worried about, that they might just do something completely original just to try to make more money off of it.
Well, no. I mean, like...
Split the last book into 2 seasons.
Yeah, logically, we have to be having a shit ton of time jumps.
Yes.
Because, like we mentioned earlier, 400 fucking years.
Yeah.
So, they're not just going to leave off from... Or they're not going to pick up, like, 100 years in the future, I don't think.
Right.
Again, I haven't read the books. I didn't know about this until you mentioned it to me.
Well, according to Reddit, like, this is the Dune Part 1. Like, this is just the exposition.
Yeah,
the real
makes sense.
juice is in 2 and 3.
But we have to see the journey that at least Saul takes on. And I think that the best way for us to see that would be to jump forward like 30, 40 years or something like that. See where they are at that point.
Have one more now, and then maybe the last 2 seasons be with the invasion.
Yeah. Just like periodically time jump with each season. Maybe not like an exact number of years, like equal each season. But because I can only assume that that's the way that's told in the books.
Like 2 episodes per...
Yeah, because why would they tell this bit of story now and then jump forward 390 years?
Right, they'll probably do like 2-3 episodes at a time in like every 5 to 10 years or whatever for a little bit.
Yeah, because a lot of time passed during this season. Almost like a full year, basically.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot. And they don't really talk about like the first episode covers what, 2-3 weeks?
I think so, yeah.
Because she stops her work at the end of the first episode, right? Okay, so she had what, 10 days in her eyes? Yeah, so there's a week and a half right fucking there. And there's no idea how much time there is between Yi dying, how her name was, the daughter dying, and her, Augie quitting her work.
We didn't talk about that either. The aliens will have you see a countdown. And when you reach 0, you either die or you commit suicide.
Yeah. It's to... basically, the entire thing is the aliens are trying to stop scientists from progressing. That way, they have an easier time taking over planet Earth, because planet Earth is faster and more progressive in technology than this alien race was.
Yes.
Like, it took them thousands of years to get to the same point that
we got in like 50.
That we got in 50, yeah. Like, we went from the industrial revolution to computers in about 100. Like, that took them thousands of years. So they were planting the countdown in people's eyes, and it was driving them insane and shit like that. And there was actually one character that we didn't talk about was Tatiana.
Yes.
Who was basically a fucking ghost the entire show.
Yeah.
Rooney dies after 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Which I was personally upset about that, because I like the actor first and foremost, but second of all, I saw a bit of my nerdy self in him, and then for him to just be God, I was like, okay,
Just
yeah. But it made sense. Like, of course they're not gonna fucking let somebody live when they just revealed their evil plan to them. But this has happened to a lot of other scientists as well, and so that's what Benedict Wong's character. What was his name?
Clarence.
Was it Clarence?
Yeah.
It's Dashi on.
They call him Clarence though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Clarence.
I wonder if Dashi is like the original Chinese name for the.
Well, I mean, it could also be his operative name.
Okay, yeah.
That might be what it is. So Clarence was investigating all these deaths and stuff, and that's what led him to Augie. That's what led him to this collection of students that were tied to Dr. Ye. What was
Who's
I saying?
there?
What was I saying? But before we got talking about Benedict Wong's character,
We're talking about the countdown.
Yeah. Clarence was investigating everything, and he was trying to piece it all together, and that's when Augie tied in. Augie was the one that made the nanofibers that cut the ship in half. Augie was targeted because of the nanofibers, because it was such a major progression in science. After the aliens revealed themselves, however, they just started killing people indiscriminately, basically.
Dashi was his name in the Chinese version.
Okay. Well, somebody needs to fucking fix it on IMDb. Yeah, oh man, I really hope Netflix doesn't fucking cancel this.
Yeah,
it was so good. I really didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Like I said, the intro was amazing. There was only one full intro the entire season.
Yeah,
and it was in the first episode. And that looked amazing on its own. I figured out what 3-body problem meant, like after like the first or second time they did the VR world thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like that makes sense. It's a celestial body. All right. Honestly, that was one thing that I really liked was the virtual world.
Yeah.
Like telling the story through that.
That was probably updated a little bit because VR was not a thing back in the 60s.
Oh, no. I fucking doubt it. Yeah, there's no way. I was wondering what the comparison between the technology in the books was versus this.
Yeah, because I think the first book came out like 63.
Okay, yeah. So,
yeah.
Well, Ender's Game came out in like the 70s, right?
I don't know.
And that was about like simulation, I think.
Yeah.
So who knows? We could have gotten some pretty accurate technology shit from it. I don't know.
I do know they switched Foundation a lot.
Okay.
Because Foundation came out like the 40s, I think.
Oh yeah, no, that's there's back then they thought that we would have flying cars by like the 60s. So
yeah.
No fucking tell what was going on there.
But what would you rate the season out of 10?
Oh God. As anybody who regularly listens to the podcast knows, when I rate something, I rate it with a mix of how I thought it was, how entertaining to me it was, how much I enjoyed it, just on that level, but also how much I liked it production-wise and narratively and all that. So if I had to do that, I'd say maybe a 9. I give it like a 9 out of 10. It's hard for me to rate TV shows.
Yeah,
because it's just so much.
Yeah, just rounding it all up. It's easier to do seasons than full shows, though.
Yes,
definitely,
100%.
I'm gonna give it a little bit lower. I still enjoyed it, but I think I had such high hopes for it. It kind of like didn't live up to all my expectations.
Well, see, that's where you failed yourself. You shouldn't have those expectations.
I'm giving it a 7.5.
Okay, yeah, no, that's reasonable. Yeah.
The production was better than my overall enjoyment.
Okay,
I enjoyed it, but like part of it's just I don't know.
Yeah, you just admired more the technical aspect of it. Yeah. I get that.
And I don't know, the way people like described it as like one of the greatest things ever. It was not one of the greatest things ever to me.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like do you see you changing your score if we get future seasons?
I could, yeah.
Okay.
When I see more of the story, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if part of it is I talked about on our Dune review. Go check that out, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a great conversation.
It was.
I talked about it during that, but I didn't like Dune Part 1 because it was so exposition heavy for a good reason.
Yeah.
I fully understand why it's that. I didn't me not enjoying it as much as I not nearly as much as I enjoyed Part 2. Was because of the fact that it was so exposition heavy, and I recognize that, and it wasn't a bad thing for me. It just all that exposition wasn't for me. So I'm wondering if that's the case here for you.
Yeah.
So once we get more follow up to it, it could change.
With Dune Part 1 was the crust,
Mm.
and Dune Part 2 was all the pizza ingredients.
Yeah, it was literally everything that makes pizza good.
Yes. But yeah, this was the 3 body problem. Go check it out.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Just go visit it with an open mind. As I insist with the enjoyment of, or the consumption of any media, really, is watch it with an open mind. If you have expectations, you might want to check them out the door.
And we should probably specify this is Netflix.
Yes, it is streaming on Netflix.
So you know where to find it.
Yeah. 8 episodes, literally all just dropped on Thursday.
All about an hour long.
Yeah, all about an hour long. I'm pretty sure the longest episode was like an hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah,
or something
and
like
the
that.
shortest one was like 44.
Yeah, so it's a heftier show.
Yeah, I'd say about probably 7 hours 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
I do recommend it the way that we both watch it, which was 2 batches of episodes, 4 and 4.
Yeah.
But watch it however you want.
And if you like sci-fi, this might be for you.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, me and you are gonna focus more on some of these sci-fi and superhero shows, especially some of the newer ones, like, because obviously, even with, like sci-fi, everybody knows Star Wars. We'll do Star Wars, but like we want to give a shot to some of these other sci-fi shows that, because I was gonna save this for next week because we're reviewing Apple TV's Constellation and Godzilla vs. Kong next week. I believe we are in the 3rd golden age of sci-fi.
Really?
The first age was the books, Isaac Asimov, Philip Dick. Second age was probably 77. We'll start with Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, throughout the 60s and 70s, okay.
Well, I'd say from like starting with Star Wars to like maybe 90.
Really? Because I would start with Star Trek. The classic 66 series. Even if I don't personally enjoy it or you don't personally enjoy it, I think that's where it really started. Because without Star Trek, I don't think we would have really gotten Star Wars.
Well, the reason I was counting out Star Trek is because that was like the only thing going on at the time.
I mean, wasn't there also Buck Rogers?
I don't know. But like, I don't know if that made any traction or anything.
Well, yeah, it's a pop culture thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's a full thing.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. But I was thinking like with Star Wars, we had Alien, we had Terminator, we had Back to the Future, all in that area. That's why I was thinking that. And then now, it's more on the TV front.
Yeah.
We do have great movies, Interstellar, Dune, The Martian, but like we got loads. We got found on TV, we got Foundation, we just had the 3 body problem. We have The Expanse, we have For All Mankind. There's tons of high quality sci-fi shows out right now.
Yeah.
And so I think this is the 3rd golden age, but it's in TV format this time.
Honestly, I could fully agree with that. No, that makes full sense to me.
We will see you guys next week for more episodes.
Yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to share. Make sure to rate us wherever you can. Don't be afraid to check out our main episodes. I've been recommending recently, if this is the first time that you're checking us out and you do want to check out our main podcast, the Cinema Asylum podcast, if you do want to check that out, I would recommend checking out the first 10 episodes from last year and then cutting to this year, unless there are other episode titles that pique your interest.
This year, starting with the Dune review.
Yes. We really upped our game this year. We're doing really solid, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, make sure to check out more of our content. We're going to keep delivering exactly stuff like this, along with RPG. There's going to be a video game podcast that gets started up. We're regularly doing movie reviews. We're doing review rewinds. There's a lot of content that we put out there. So please make sure to just stay around, check it out a little bit if you liked this.
Yes, for sure. And we will see you guys next week with Godzilla Kong, New Empire, I believe it's called.
Yeah, I think.
Constellation, and our mystery main episode.
Hey, you still haven't told me what the main topic of that is.
I'm going to tell you in a minute.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
We have been the Cinema Asylum Podcast. You guys were awesome. Thanks for coming out. Good night.